Okay, I'm so glad to see everyone tonight. And last week I talked about my relationship with my mother and how that affects forgiveness. And I do have a meditation, and I am going to be a bit more cerebral tonight, but it's not going to be heavy. Um, Last week was heavy, but not cerebrally heavy, I don't think. Um, I think there's two ways I look, two feelings I have around forgiveness, two things that come up, and one is either resentment or guilt. And today I'm going to go into resentment. Why was it important for me to forgive my mother and to forgive others that I still have not fully forgiven? Why is that important to me? And the reason is as long as I carry that resentment, as long as I carry not forgiving, it will affect my practice, how I experience every moment in my life, and it'll most of all affect every relationship I have. I know when I get really mad, and I don't so much anymore, but when I was getting really mad when someone had cut me off in traffic, it didn't have a lot to do with being cut off in traffic. It's all of a sudden I glued in my head all those bullies that I had to fight my whole life. And it's like, you can just think you can take that? You can't just take that. So, not letting go of those resentments, which I still have, can affect my commute, even a little bit to this day, not like it was. And I don't want to live my life that way. Trying to get your faces back. Thanks. Um, and an example is I can never see my mom the way she really was as long as I was resentful. There was a point in my life where I thought that she was nothing but evil. And it took years for me to see all the goodness she had in her as I let go of that resentment. And now I really feel like I've just let go so much of it. I get a whole picture of her as a human being. And I also see how much I'm like her. And that's important for me to know, you know? All the way down to being angry at bullies. That's something she was too. I was always trying to fight other people's fights. I didn't like them so much, and that was not always good. There's a quote from Pema Chodron that I wanted to share. I experience the world in the future. In any encounter, we have a choice. We can strengthen our resentment or our understanding and empathy. We can widen the gap between ourselves and others or lessen it. And what I missed before, I didn't put in the quote, I don't know why I didn't write it down, is but not forgiving others, I experience the world in the future. It influences that, it impacts that. I do want to put in a reminder. Forgiveness does not mean that you must have a relationship with the people you're forgiving. If they do not feel safe to you, or if you don't want a relationship, you don't have to have one. I chose to have a relationship in my process, but I could have chosen not to have one. And I think it would have been beneficial also. So I got these suggestions that I have for breaking that resentful lack of forgiveness is from Lindsay Karakarty Jones, and it's just from an article, 5 Buddhist Quotes to Rock Resentment. She says that when I feel, she says when you feel resentful towards someone, I'll use the you because she does write it in that way. Send out loving thoughts and prayers. And again, this is a practice I do. I chant and I do it with good intentions, and it is healing and it does give me that space. The other thing is when I feel them, I can practice gratitude. I can be grateful for all the good things in my life. And I can be grateful for maybe all the good things about that person I'm angry with at the time. I can also get honest and examine the root of my resentment. Oftentimes I find the real cause of my resentment is deeper. And I said that about people cutting me off, but whenever I have a response to my students or to someone in my life or my wife, it's usually pinging something in that store consciousness I have. It's like poking at it and I react. People call it trigger. It's a great word. I mean, I hear it so much, I'm like, I don't say that. But trigger is a great word. It triggers those spaces. And being able to forgive allows those spaces to be less triggered. It also says, watch your motives and expectations. So when I'm not forgiving, what is my motive? Is it to punish this other person? Because usually, since I don't even have a relationship with most of these people anymore, it's just hurting me. And the people who I respond to, because I'm still holding on to resentments with other people. And I must own my own part in past events. I will say there are times when your part was nil and my part was nil. There were times. But other times I need to open up and see what was my part and give those time to heal. So now I'm going to lead us into a meditation. Again, just really quick. Send the person you have a resentment towards loving thoughts and prayers. Practice gratitude about them. Honestly examine the root of your resentment. Watch your motives and expectations. And own your own part in past and present events. So, if everyone wants to get comfortable. I think I have hat head. To practice forgiveness meditation, let yourself sit comfortably, allowing your eyes to close and your breath to be natural and easy. Let your body and mind relax. Breathing gently into the area of your heart, let yourself feel all the barriers you have erected and the emotions that you have carried because you have not forgiven. Not forgiven yourself, not forgiven others. Let yourself feel the pain of keeping your heart closed. Then, breathing softly, begin asking and extending forgiveness, reciting the following words, letting the images and feelings that come up grow deeper as you repeat them. There are many ways that I have hurt and harmed others, have betrayed or abandoned them, caused them suffering, knowingly or unknowingly, out of my pain, fear, anger, and confusion. Let yourself remember and visualize the ways you have hurt others. See and feel the pain you have caused out of your own fear and confusion. Feel your own sorrow and regret. Sense that finally you can release this burden and ask for forgiveness. Picture each memory that still burdens your heart And then to each person in your mind, repeat, I ask for your forgiveness. I ask for your forgiveness. There are many ways that I have hurt and harmed myself. I have betrayed or abandoned myself many times through thought, word, or deed, knowingly or unknowingly. Feel your own precious body and life. Let yourself see the ways you have hurt or harmed yourself. Picture them, remember them. Feel the sorrow you have carried from this and sense that you can release these burdens. Extend forgiveness for each of them, one by one. Repeat to yourself, for the ways I have hurt myself through action or inaction, out of fear, pain, and confusion, I now extend a full and heartfelt forgiveness. I forgive myself. I forgive myself. There are many ways that I have been harmed by others, abused or abandoned, knowingly or unknowingly. in thought, word, or deed. Let yourself picture and remember these many ways. Feel the sorrow you have carried from this past and sense that you can release this burden of pain by extending forgiveness when your heart is ready. Now say to yourself, I now remember the many ways others have hurt or harmed me, wounded me, out of fear, pain, confusion, and anger. I have carried this pain in my heart too long. To the extent that I am ready, I offer them my forgiveness. To those who have caused me harm, I offer my forgiveness. I forgive you. Let yourself gently repeat these 3 directions for forgiveness until you feel a release in your heart. For some great pains, you may not feel a release, but only the burden and the anguish or anger you have held. Touch this anger softly. Be forgiving of yourself for not being ready to let go and move on. Forgiveness cannot be forced. It cannot be artificial. Simply continue the practice and let the words and images work gradually in their own way. In the time you can make the forgiveness meditation a regular part of your life, letting go of the past and opening your heart to each new moment with wise, loving kindness. Namaste. Okay, I'm being prepared for the dedication of merit. I'm using the one out of the Dharma Recovery book today. Refuge does not arise in a particular place, but in the space within the goodness of our hearts. When this space is imbued with wisdom, respect, and love, we call it Sangha. We hope that the pain of addiction, trauma, and feeling apart actually leads us back toward the heart, and that we might understand compassion, wisdom, and change ever more deeply. As we have learned from practice, great pain does not erase goodness, but in fact informs it. May we make the best use of our practice, and whatever freedom arises from our efforts here today, may this be a cause and condition for less suffering and more safety in our world. Namaste.